Which team do you guys think, as we look at this top 10, should absolutely, positively, you better draft a quarterback come Vegas?
I think the Carolina Panthers need to draft a quarterback. And this is nothing against Sam Darnold, who still has a year left on his contract.
A little bit.
And has played good football. But I think there's time to bring in competition for Sam. And the chalk is that if they are to go quarterback, Kenny Pickett's the guy. And let's go through some of the connections. When Kenny Pickett was a senior in high school in Ocean Township, New Jersey, he committed to Temple, where he was heavily recruited by a man named Matt Rule. This is that footage there from that commitment. He commits to Temple, he wears the hat, gets everything. That is Pickett and Rule back in the day when Rule was the head coach of the Temple Owls.
What pants is Rule wearing? What trousers are those?
Rule has had a lot of pants pictures of late.
We just came off the coach's pictures, which did not go great for him.
Yeah.
But whatever, he's a good football coach.
He doesn't end up going to Temple. He decommits to them, goes to Pittsburgh, where he ends up at Pitt. Now, you say, okay, so they recruit each other. We see that a lot of times. David Tepper is worth $14.7 billion. Do you know where he went to college?
Is it Temple?
He went to the University of Pittsburgh, where Kenny Pickett has been a star the last few years. You now have two very important people in the decision room, both Matt Rule and David Tepper, who have been following Kenny Pickett's complete college career.
Well, done.
We get to the pro day, and it was like, here, let's just see the footage from the pro day from Kenny Pickett. And it was literally an ongoing conversation between Kenny Pickett and Ben McAdoo and Matt Rule. And there's McAdoo and Rule. They're talking about his thumbs, those crazy thumbs. McAdoo's the offensive coordinator. It's all very...
Yeah, your hand's not that small, bro.
It's all very clean. It's all very clean. He's got the Pitt connection. They need a quarterback. Matt Rule might be looking at, the end of the run if they don't win this year, and he's the most pro-ready, and he runs a West Coast offense out of Pitt. And yet, we have seen this time and time again where you try to connect the college-coach connection, whether it be Pete Carroll so many years ago, and everyone thinking that the Seahawks were going to take Taylor Mays, and he's like, taking Earl Thomas, a safety. Or you've got all these different, Chip Kelly's going to definitely take Mariota. He's going to trade up and do it. No, he doesn't. He takes Nick Foles instead. Or he has Nick Foles. I'm sorry. It was Andy who drafted him. But
sometimes it's cute and it doesn't happen.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I do think they need a quarterback. The guy I would look for is not Malik Willis and is not necessarily Kenny Pickett. I think Matt Corral is really interesting at 6 overall. He's like laying in the weeds a little bit. We're not talking about, but like throughout the college season, Corral, and then comes to the combine, was excellent, has interviewed with teams, has done very well with that. Had the injury, so people aren't exactly talking about, Matt Corral's ability, but because of the injury, I think his ability not to work out at the and not be able to show off his arm and all that stuff, I think it knocked him down a few pegs on mock drafts and whatnot, but teams still see the tape. I'd be interested to see Panthers, number 6. I know they're meeting with Pickett and Corral and Willis this week. I would be interested to see if they go quarterback. Pickett makes sense on paper. I had him going there in the mock draft, but is Matt Corral maybe the wild card pick at 6 overall?
And Corral's like the rah-rah guy, right? He's the leader. He's the guy who I'm sure that goes really well and suits what Tepper's about.
Crazy release.
Crazy arm. Long Beach Poly, so he comes from a football powerhouse in California, and Lane Kiffin has been singing his praises to NFL people throughout this process.
I detest the college symmetry.
It's almost too cute.
Well, if it's a coach and a quarterback who maybe had some background, sure. The owner and the quarterback is just like, that's my favorite college, I'm going to pick them. It's ridiculous. Jerry
if I had $14 billion, though, I'd be like, I went to that college, I'll pick him.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the college, donate a wing or something. I'm sure he has. But, Jerry Jones drafts Felix Jones, and, because he went to the same college? I hate that. Yeah. It has nothing to do with ball. Go root for your team on Saturdays.
You hire GMs, you hire coaches, you hire them to make decisions. It shouldn't be where you went to school. And yet, if the owner's had his eyes and has gotten to know Pickett...
Okay.
Can't tell the owner what to do. I mean, it's his team at the end of the day. But
he hasn't come out and said Pickett's my guy by any means. It's just people connecting the dots.
Also, I mean, we've been seeing the Panthers ripping off playoff wins the last few years.
No,
it's not been necessarily robust for the Panthers.
Is that footage telling to you though, that those nonverbals, the length of time they're talking, or is it the little Haslam Darnold from years ago?
Well, the Haslam Darnold's the classic deep of all time.
Yeah.
Jimmy Haslam was going to take Sam Darnold, and no, we'll take Baker. And I think he's still, I don't know if he made the right choice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody knows if he made the right choice quite yet. For me, it's the Seahawks. And I think they have to go back to the formula that they did when we won a Super Bowl. You have a quarterback on a rookie deal, and you can still run your offense. Pete Carroll wants to run the football, and I think Malik Willis is that quarterback. Now, the interesting part is they sit at the number 9 pick. Okay, so we talk about the Panthers needing a quarterback. We talk about the Giants possibly. Kyle, you just did an awesome job in the last segment talking about the Giants needing a quarterback. My thing is, how can the Seahawks get in front of those teams to possibly get a Malik Willis? Because if they get a Malik Willis, again, they're going right back to the same script. You can run the offense that Pete Carroll wants to run, which is running the football, having a dominating offensive line at the line of scrimmage, running the football with Rashad Penny and those guys. And you can have this kid play earlier than I think that other quarterbacks can play, because you can par down the offense and just use his running ability to create offense. And I think Malik Willis is that guy. I think the Seahawks have their eye on him, but I just don't think he's going to fall to him. I think
Number 9.
I don't think I don't know if he's going to be there. I think it's going to be some quarterback-needy teams that are going to probably jump up and try to take Malik Willis.
Be cool to see a quarterback in Seattle running around, making plays, breaking the pocket, doing that whole thing while the other guys.
They had one.
Draft is a time of rebuilding and optimism and new births and bad teams getting good. So I don't want to start every show talking about the Giants and taking shots at Daniel Jones. It feels very negative. But I really do think the Giants should take a quarterback. So I'm trying to be constructive about this. Giants have the 5 and the 7 pick. Here's the deal with Daniel Jones. He's entering his 4th year. They have not picked up his 5th-year option. They still can, but they likely won't, which means this year will be a true free agency year for Daniel Jones. There's 3 options here, guys, that's going to happen this year if he goes on to be their starter all season. He doesn't have it, they don't have it, they go 5-12 and another terrible season for the Giants, and then they'll try to find a quarterback next year. The other one, which is a sneaky one, is the Giants go 9-8 this year, or even 10-7, and Daniel Jones is played some good football. They lose in the wild card round to the Packers, and then Daniel Jones says, all right, pay me. I'm ready for my long-term extension with the New York Giants, but they're like, well, we like you, but we don't love you. Too bad. Then I'm out of here. That's a terrible.
He won't get paid anywhere else. You think he'll get paid somewhere else?
I don't know. Trubisky's the model where he's in the playoffs twice, but the Bears were like, you're still not that good. And he did get paid.
And then the back end of that is you go 10-7, and now you're like, well, now we don't have that top 10 draft pick anymore, so we can do the Bears thing where we trade everything not nailed down to go get a quarterback, and now we have nothing moving forward. The third option is Brian Daboll really does turn Daniel Jones into Josh Allen, and they go 13-4, which I find offensive. I don't think that's the scenario.
Offensive.
So that's it. It's like we're in this place where if you don't, it's not enough to like your quarterback. You have to love him, or you have to get the hell out of there. Like the Rams, like the Bears, like the Jets. The Jets are like, no, we're done. Cut bait. We don't love Sam Darnold. We like him. We don't love him. And I just feel like their neighbors, they don't love Daniel Jones, nor should they. They didn't pick up the option. They won't. So it's a real tough purgatory, and I think you have to preempt that with a 5 and a 7. You get almost a mulligan. You get 2 top 10 picks, 2 top 7. Use one of them on a quarterback that you like the most, and use the other one on whatever the hell you want. That's what I want.
Well said. How about the Falcons? Just throwing it out there. Yeah. Arthur Smith, very impressive. We've talked about it a lot here at the breakfast table last year as an offensive mind. What he did with very little out there. They're clearly in rebuild mode, Schrags, but they're going to need something to identify with as their franchise going forward. Is that Malik Willis?
Very well be.
How exciting would that be if it was him? A kid who grew up in Atlanta. I know that's kind of cute, but he grew up a Falcons fan. I would like to see him play for his hometown team. And there's a lot of turmoil over there with that franchise. It would just be a nice piece to identify with going forward. Let him sit, develop. I'd like it.
And Marcus Mariota was signed. Everyone's like, well, Arthur Smith had him in Tennessee, so he's the quarterback. Well,
yeah.
Marcus Mariota was signed, and the money is not crazy, so you could draft him Malik Willis, and if Mariota goes for a year...
Let him develop.
Exactly.
I think Mariota's going to be all right, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like whenever he came in for Carr, I just like his attitude seems to be changed. It seemed like he seems like he was disrespected or he hadn't proved his draft ranking, and it seems like he has a chip on his shoulder. I like this version of Marcus.
I think Arthur Blank wants to get his franchise excited about something, and they need something to get excited about. Kyle Pitts might be that great, but if you got Malik Willis, who's visiting, I hear, with the team this week, I like that connection just for the future. Get me excited about something there.
Teams are also like falling in love with Willis, but they're also falling in love with Ritter, and they're also falling in love with Pickett. Like these 3 guys are really impressive. Pickett, we might be tearing down a bit just connecting, but like Pickett is one of those guys you're like, all right, day one, Pickett starts in the NFL. Like that, he can play. He's done it against top competition. He could play. But the upside, they think, of Willis is just through the roof, and he hasn't had that opportunity to really be the guy. So, to your point, maybe we're underestimating these quarterbacks just a little bit in the draft build-up.